This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Right now at 6 on Good Morning Indiana.
A windswept rain will develop throughout the morning hours with a few thunderstorms possible as well. I'll let you know when it arrives in your neighborhood in your Storm Team 6 forecast.
More gunfire in the heart of downtown Indianapolis. This morning, what community members think needs to be done to stop the violence.
Indiana Attorney General Curtis Hill heading before the state's Supreme Court today. We're breaking down the hearing that could determine the future of his law license.
The I-69 expansion project has helped drivers get to southern Indiana much quicker. The chance today to let your voice be heard on the final stage of the decade-long project.
And we're highlighting a program helping Hoosiers have a new beginning. This morning, how a simple flyer led an Indianapolis woman to a free program, then a job and a paycheck.
It is Monday morning, 6 o'clock. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick.
I'm Rafael Sanchez. Lauren Casey's on vacation. And on this Monday, October the 21st, this is a Storm Team 6 alert day. So this guy is working overtime. Todd Clausen, fill us in.
Yeah, you know, it's been a little while since we had to deal with a lot of rough weather, and I think it will get pretty rough here by mid-morning onward into the early afternoon hours. The good news is, as you start your Monday and get the kids off to school, we're just fine here this morning. So your AM drive is okay, but by the noon hour, it is wet. It turns very windy this afternoon as well. And then this evening, the rain starts to taper off. So what we have is a big cold front heading our way. You can see all this heavy rainfall already in and around the St. Louis area, pushing through Effingham, Illinois. And there's a lot of lightning. No severe weather with that as of right now, but there's the potential that some could sneak into our area as we get into the morning hours. But the initial burst of this rainfall is when the heaviest of the rain is going to be. And it's also going to provide some really gusty winds initially. So as we get you out the door here this morning, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies still at 8 a.m. By 10 a.m. the rain is arriving, especially in western locations, and then very wet and windy throughout the noon hour. The showers do taper off a little bit this afternoon, but the wind remains strong. More on that coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you so much. To be a smooth commute this morning as we take a live look now from our in-dot camera. This at I-70 at Bidhofer Road. As you can see, traffic definitely building up this morning, but all is good so far this morning throughout Indiana's major interstate systems. Meredith?
We do want to start off with breaking news this morning. Police say one person is dead, another person in critical condition after a crash on the east side. Emergency crews were called to the intersection of 10th Street and Arlington Avenue just after 3 this morning. Police say they spotted a vehicle speeding down Arlington Avenue and a short time later found it had slammed into another vehicle at that intersection. The driver of the speeding car is in critical condition this morning, while the driver of the vehicle that was hit was killed. Police remain on scene this morning, and we will bring you any new information just as soon as we get it. Indiana Attorney General Curtis Hill will face a disciplinary hearing today over groping allegations.
Hill's law license is at stake after accusations that he groped 4 women, including a state lawmaker, at a bar last year. RTV6's Alyssa Donovan is following this story for us. Alyssa, what do we know about this hearing that's set to begin today?
So we know that this hearing could last all week, and ultimately the Indiana Supreme Court will determine if they are going to impose any sanctions on Curtis Hill's law license, which is something he needs to act as Attorney General for the state. Now, the hearing starts this afternoon. Hill denies the claims from a state lawmaker and 3 legislative staffers that he inappropriately touched them during a party at an Indianapolis bar. The Attorney General has refused calls from Governor Eric Holcomb and other state leaders to resign. Hill argues the case is improper because he was cleared by the special prosecutor, and any conduct at the party should not be subject to law license sanctions. Following the hearing, the complaint could be dismissed, a reprimand or temporary suspension could be issued, or Hill could permanently lose his law license. Now, Hill's term runs through 2020, and Hill is expected to testify at the hearing this week. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Violence in downtown Indianapolis continues to be a major problem involving teens.
This year alone, 3 shootings have involved teenagers in the heart of our city.
RTV6's Kelsey Anderson joins us live this morning with how people are reacting to the violence and what city leaders are now doing. Kelsey.
Yeah, so the latest shooting involving a teenager happened Friday near Monument Circle, and police say a 16-year-old was the one who pulled the trigger. The victim in that shooting was sent to the hospital in stable condition, but still, people who spend their time in Indy tell RTV6 they don't feel safe. Heaven Wright lives in Indianapolis, and in August, downtown's gun violence impacted her family. Wright says her sister, 25-year-old Shanita Caffey, was shot and killed while sitting at a stoplight. She says there was a dispute over money, and she thinks kids need more guidance and leadership.
Honestly, it's like if a kid's not in sports, or if they're not playing basketball, football, cheerleading, or track, whatever it is, then they're out in the streets because they don't have anything else to occupy their time.
Working for you, we reached out to city leaders to see what they plan to do to stop the violence in the Circle City. A spokeswoman says they are working to create programs to get kids off the street, including a youth resource fair next month to connect kids to job training programs. So as of Thursday, according to city county councilor, there have been 117 deaths from gun violence in downtown Indianapolis. That number has since grown over the weekend. Reporting live downtown, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Kelsey, thank you. A 7-year-old Marion girl is in the hospital this morning after someone fired shots into a home. According to authorities, the gunfire hit the girl in her right knee. Doctors say she will be okay. This happened just after 6 Saturday evening near West 17th and South Jackson Street. A relative says the girl was in their home when the shooting happened. This morning, police are still working to find a suspect and the motive behind the gunfire.
The time now is 6:07. You can have a say on the plans to construct the final phase of the I-69 project between Martinsville and Indianapolis. Today, tomorrow, and Thursday, INDOT will hold meetings about design refinements and the construction schedule for that project. INDOT wants you to provide feedback on design elements for the interstate. Now, tonight, INDOT will hold the I-69 meeting at Martinsville High School. Tomorrow, at Center Grove High School near Greenwood. And on Thursday, the meeting will be at Perry Meridian High School. All 3 meetings begin at 5:30 and will go until 7:30 in the evening.
Construction is creating safety concerns. It's an issue for people across central Indiana, including neighbors who live near Main Street and Guilford Road in Carmel. They say a project to build a roundabout at that intersection has drivers cutting through their neighborhood to get to Carmel Middle School. Homeowners are worried about children walking to and from school with all the extra traffic and speeding drivers.
They're just going really fast. They're not paying attention. We have no sidewalks in Sherman, so the kids walking to their bus stop have to walk in the street. And that's really dangerous.
I think it would help to have more speed bumps until it's more under control. I mean, the speed limit on this street is only 15 or 20, and people drive down this street 40, 50.
The city says this neighborhood used to have speed humps, but people successfully petitioned to remove them in 2006 because they were a nuisance. Construction on the roundabout is expected to finish by the end of the year.
It is a controversial decision. An Indiana high school baseball complex will soon bear the name of founder of Papa John's, even though the school stripped his name from another renovation project last year because he made racist comments. John Shatner opened his first Papa John's restaurant in Jeffersonville back in 1984, but in 2017, Shatner stepped down as CEO and last year resigned as chairman after facing backlash for blaming disappointing sales on NFL player protests and for using racist language during a company conference call. Last week, Greater Clark County Schools Board voted to rename Jeffersonville's high school's baseball facility after the Papa John's founder. Shatner's foundation will provide $500,000 to renovate that complex. Jeffersonville's mayor says he's disappointed by the school board's decision.
An Indiana University alumnus who founded a technology company has donated $60 million to IU for the creation of an artificial intelligence center. ServiceNow founder Fred Luddy made the donation, which is the second largest private gift IU has ever received. The university says Luddy's $60 million donation will finance the creation of an artificial intelligence initiative focused on digital health. It will be based in what's now known as the IU Luddy School of Informatics, Computing, and Engineering. At 6:09, we need to check in with Todd Claus. And Todd, it is a Storm Team 6 alert day.
Yeah, we're having rain approach the area currently across the area. And then as we get into the afternoon hours, we're going to be dealing with a lot of wind and rain. So there's multiple reasons why we're kind of in alert mode here this morning. Now, the good news is through 7 a.m. and probably even through 8, 9 a.m., we're not going to be dealing with rain. But then it really ramps up mid-morning, tapers off a little bit throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours. So between 10 a.m. and say about 1 p.m., that's when the heaviest of this rain is going to fall. But again, working our way throughout the course of your morning drive, we're just dealing with mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures are not going to move much. We'll be in the 50s. But here is the rain. You see it approaching Effingham right now, moving into Springfield. Will expand out, and this is going to be a solid line of storms that sneaks its way through the area pretty quickly throughout the course of the day. There's a marginal risk for severe weather, so it's not a great risk for us, but the potential is there for a few strong to severe storms, so a great tool to have. The Storm Shield app, you can download it absolutely free. It gives you alerts for your exact location as an interactive radar you can control as well. And again, it's free in your app store, whether you have the iPhone and or the Android. So certainly something that you probably want to have later on this afternoon. We'll talk more about this line of storms and the impacts coming up in just a few minutes.
We'll see you then, Todd. Thank you. The goal of our Hiring Hoosiers initiative is to help you create a better future. After the break, how a flyer helped an Indianapolis woman land a new job and a fresh beginning. We'll be right back.
And we have more work to do.
RTV6 always delivering on a promise to shine a light on the resources and the services in our communities that help lead Hoosiers to a better life through working.
This morning, we're focusing our cameras on a woman who felt like things were hopeless until she set eyes on a flyer leading her to a free program at the Indianapolis Urban League.
As RTV6's Mark Mullins shows you, she's now making money and some major strides.
PR Contractors, this is Amanda.
Life for Amanda Endicott is looking up.
So I have a full-time job. I'm not in a transitional house anymore. I own a place. I have a driver's license. I have a brand new car.
That's not how things were 15 months ago.
No income, no job, no home, no life really to speak of. At 40 years old. Yeah, so yeah, it was pretty bad. I was living in a transitional house. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a driver's license. I was kind of desperate, honestly.
Addiction and a criminal record led to the transitional house, where Amanda eventually laid her eyes on a flyer.
So the first thing it said on there was, do you need help finding a job? Do you need help with transportation? Do you need help building a resume? And it's all these things, like if I was to make a list for myself of things I needed to achieve or goals I needed to obtain to kind of project my life forward, it was kind of literally just a checklist.
With nothing to lose, the flyer moved Amanda to check out the New Beginnings program at the Indianapolis Urban League.
The New Beginnings program is a 2-week program, work readiness program, that prepares the job seeker for retaining as well as securing employment.
They focused on resume building, working on finding out what your transferable skills are, learning how to do an interview process. They helped out with getting people clothing for interviewing.
Amanda is one of roughly 2,000 people who have been taking New Beginnings classes here at the Indianapolis Urban League in a program that's been around since 2014.
You're going to email it to yourself. Once you get
Roughly 80 to 100 people sign up for the program each month, a free resource and service to help people get from wherever they are in life to where they want to be.
Many of our program participants have multiple barriers to employment. That could be maybe they have convictions, maybe they're homeless, maybe they're struggling with an addiction of some sort.
Typically, participants find a job during the second week of the New Beginnings program when they go through speed interview sessions.
I talk about the Urban League to anyone who will listen.
For Amanda, who was promoted to full-time customer service and sales rep for a contractor, she's now giving back to lift up others thanks to the New Beginnings program.
I have some girls in my life that I mentor now, and I send them all over there. Like I can't sing their praises enough, what they've done to help change my life.
Working for you in Indianapolis, Mark Mullins, RTV6.
Mark, thank you so much. The next New Beginnings information session is set for November the 7th at 11 o'clock at the Urban League offices on Indiana Avenue. That's 11 a.m. The free classes start again on November the 12th. It runs from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. for 2 weeks with free lunch served daily. For more information, we've put a link and a phone number in this story at hiringhoosiers.com.
Here at 6:17, we want to take a look at the weather with Todd Clausen. We do have some storms heading our way. Thankfully, though, they won't get here until the morning commute is through with, Todd.
Yeah, you know, that is the good news. Your commute is dry this morning. You don't have to worry about that. The kids get off to school just fine. It's really mid-morning onward that we'll get into the heavy rain and also the potential for maybe a few strong to severe storms. So your lunch hour, you're probably going to be better off maybe bringing it to work than trying to venture outside. So it's going to be a heavy windswept rain that's going to be moving in. It arrives late morning, so we're talking about 10, 11 o'clock, depending where you live. The further west you are from Indianapolis, the quicker you get into the rain. And again, some of those storms could be on the strong to severe side. The Storm Prediction Center does have us under the marginal risk for severe weather for later on this morning. So the clouds are increasing already this morning. Last few frames here, you notice some of the rain starting to approach Terre Haute. The real heavy rainfall, though, still in central Illinois. But this is moving very, very quickly. And there's a few other isolated thunderstorms flaring up here down near the Evansville area. So this is really going to sweep from, say, southwest to northeast across the state pretty quickly here this morning. And here is that rain just now approaching the Ohio River there, just south of the Evansville area. So here's the timeline. By the time we get to 9 a.m., the heavy rain moving into Terre Haute, Sullivan, into Crawfordsville as well. By the time we get to 10, 11 o'clock, it's making its way into the metro area. And this initial burst of rain is going to be the heaviest of the rain that we see throughout the entire day. It's also going to contain the most lightning and have the strongest winds associated with at least the thunderstorms. And then once we get to 1 o'clock, the heavy rain's probably gone, but the afternoon hours is going to feature more in the way as just some scattered showers off and on throughout the day. But the wind is going to stick with us from start to finish. So this afternoon, we're still dealing with winds that'll be anywhere from about 30 to maybe 40 miles per hour. So it's a very windy afternoon, but the rain, again, will be heavier late this morning compared to the afternoon and evening hours. And then there could be one little burst of rain as the actual front comes through later on this evening. So overall, it's a pretty active day for us and a day that we need to be weather aware, and that's why it is a Storm Team 6 alert day. Temperatures here are in the mid to upper 50s across the area. Temperatures today, they are not an issue. The rain comes in by 10 a.m. with a temperature right around 60 degrees, and then we'll see highs today that'll be topping off in the mid to upper 60s across the area. This evening, it still remains windy. It still remains pretty wet with these scattered showers, but it's fairly mild still with temperatures in the 60s. Once that front goes through, though, around midnight, temperatures drop off. You wake to temperatures in the mid-40s tomorrow. Tomorrow's a cooler day for us with highs in the mid to upper 50s, and then we're back to seasonable weather with mostly sunny skies on Wednesday. In fact, Wednesday, probably the pick of the week here weather-wise with a temperature of 64 degrees.
Todd, thank you. We want to take a quick look at our traffic now cameras. This is I-65 at Fletcher Avenue. You can see traffic moving along just fine in that area. No issues to report right now other than that breaking news crash we had earlier this morning at 10th Street and Arlington Avenue. Crews still working to get that cleaned up. We will let you know when that area is clear.
Here's some of the weather that's heading our way. New this morning, parts of several states are cleaning up after this hour after being pounded by severe weather overnight. We're talking about Texas and Oklahoma. This is what's left of a Home Depot in Dallas, Texas. Fire officials reported a number of buildings with damage and gas leaks across northern Dallas. Authorities say they received a number of calls for people injured by flying glass and other debris. New this hour, police in Arkansas say a man died after a tree crashed into his home near Beaver Lake, that's northeast of Fayetteville.
Are your childhood memories filled with lots of slime? Ahead in our Trending 6, the massive new theme park getting ready to open that is dedicated to all things Nickelodeon. We'll be right back.
Now or book online at aspendental.com.
We usually wait to the end of the week to bring you good news on Good News Friday, but you know what? We decided to kick this week off with some good news, and we think it'll make you smile. That is 19-year-old Connor West from Huntington ringing the bell at Lucas Oil Stadium before the Colts game yesterday to show he is now cancer-free. West was a high school football player when his career was cut short. Doctors had diagnosed him with leukemia. A team at Riley Children's Foundation found Connor a stem cell donor, which happened to be his own brother Jordan. Connor is now healthy and cancer-free, looking forward to a very bright future.
Let's tell that story on Friday as well. It's well-deserving. Connor, best of luck to you and your family. Now, here's something as you get ready for the day ahead.
Whew.
Tony the Tiger, Toucan Sam, and Snap, Crackle, and Pop. They've all joined together to fight bullying. This is Kellogg's newest cereal called All Together. Now, the product is similar to a variety pack. 6 individual boxes of cereal are all placed inside one big purple box. Kellogg says it's a symbol of acceptance.
Now, how do you choose? All delicious.
Eat them all.
Prepare to be slimed. A Nickelodeon theme park is opening in New Jersey on Friday. Nickelodeon Universe at 8.5 acres will be the largest indoor theme park in North America. It's located at the American Dream Mall in East Rutherford. It features more than 35 rides, roller coasters, and attractions. Kids can also meet SpongeBob, Dora the Explorer, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The world's longest commercial flight is now in the books. Hey, mate. The flight from New York to Sydney, Australia took 19 hours and, 16 minutes, something really short, nothing long. It covered nearly 10,000 miles. The airline is researching the potential impacts of ultra-long haul flights on pilots, crew, and passengers. Wow. I want food and a lot of movies.
Yes. Sam Adams Halloween brew is scary good. It's so good. It's now illegal in 15 states because of its frighteningly high alcohol content. The beer, which is called Utopias, is 28% alcohol by volume. Here's the good news. It is legal here in Indiana. By comparison, a regular old Sam Adams lager has an alcohol content of just 5%. If you do want a bottle, it'll cost you $210.
Wow, that's a little pricey.
Yeah, just a smidge.
I'm going to stick to lemonade. The city of Half Moon Bay, California, you see, they take pumpkins very seriously. In fact, they devote an entire festival to the gourds. There's a pumpkin parade with complete with a marching band and floats, as you can see right there. The big event, however, is a real pumpkin weigh-off competition. The heaviest gourd weighed 2,100 pounds. Wow. The farmer says he took up pumpkin farming as a hobby nearly 20 years ago. What do you do with a pumpkin that weighs that much?
You make a lot of money off of it, Raphael.
Yeah, that's a lot of pie.
I'm thinking of getting into pumpkin growing as a hobby after seeing all these gigantic gourds and hearing these people make thousands of dollars.
I could put you guys in contact with a good 4-H coordinator. We'll talk about that. But first, on the Storm Team 6 Alert Day.
I can't picture you out there gardening, growing pumpkins, but that's just me.
Maybe I'd pay someone to do it for me.
Exactly. All right, outside right now it's dry. It's going to be dry going throughout the morning commute, but as we work our way into the afternoon hours or even late morning, that's when the rain is going to arrive. Your afternoon starts off very wet, very windy. We'll see temperatures climb from the 50s eventually into the 60s later on this afternoon. The line of storms off to our west right there. We'll talk more about it and the timeline of its arrival coming up when we continue right here on Good Morning Indiana. The time now is 6:27.
2019 Rogue. This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
I'm Kelsey Anderson. More than 100 lives have been taken in Indianapolis due to gun violence, several of them involving teenagers. What city leaders are planning to do to stop the violence?
I'm Melissa Donovan at the State House this morning, where Indiana Attorney General Curtis Hill will face a disciplinary hearing this week. Coming up, what this means for Hill and what it could mean for his ability to practice law in our state.
Time now is 6:30 on your Monday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick.
I'm Rafael Sanchez. Lauren Casey's on vacation, and this morning, all eyes are on the sky. It is a Storm Team 6 Alert Day, and meteorologist Todd Clausen, you are standing by with all the latest.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we've had to talk about the potential for some stronger storms and a lot of wind. It's been a pretty quiet weather pattern for us here across central Indiana, but nonetheless, we're in alert mode for a couple reasons. One, we're going to be dealing with the potential for maybe a few strong to severe storms by mid-morning. And then we're going to deal with a lot of wind throughout the afternoon hours that could create some issues as well. And your windshield at some point today is going to look a lot like that. So here's what's happening. We have this really strong cold front that's just off to our west, and it's moving very, very quickly. And it stretches all the way from Minneapolis down into Texas. This is the same front that helped to cause some of those tornadoes in Texas. As far as our weather goes, you see it's still quiet across central Indiana. It's just cloudy this morning. So your commute to work is fine. The kids have no worries this morning at the bus stop at all. But some of these storms now approaching Evansville, and then you look just off across the state line, Effingham down into southern Illinois. That is what's going to be heading our way from west to east across the state by mid-morning, probably arriving here in the metro area by time we get to 10:30 this morning. So what do you need to have before you go? Well, you can grab the umbrella, but again, these winds are going to kick up. May not be the most useful. I would definitely have the rain jacket with the hood as some of these showers and storms start to move in. We'll talk much more about them coming up in just a few minutes. But at 6:32, let's get you updated on the roadways.
Todd, thank you. This is a live look right now at I-65 at Fletcher Avenue in the Fountain Square area. No issues to report. You can see traffic moving along just fine. We do have a crash, though, that we need to update you on. This happened on the east side, and it has left one person dead and another in critical condition. This happened around 3 this morning at 10th Street and Arlington Avenue. Metro Police tell us an officer spotted a vehicle speeding down Arlington Avenue. A short time later, that vehicle slammed into another vehicle at the intersection. The driver of the speeding car is in critical condition this morning, while the driver of the vehicle that was hit was killed. We are still working to find out more information, and we will have that for you as soon as it comes into our newsroom.
The time now is 6:33, and violence in downtown Indianapolis continues to be a problem, and increasingly, police say teenagers are involved. This year, teenagers have been involved in 3 separate shootings in the heart of our city.
With so many events happening downtown, some people are starting to worry about the impact the gunfire is now having. Our Kelsey Anderson joins us live this morning with more on that reaction and what city leaders are doing in response. Kelsey.
Yeah, well, Raphael and Meredith, the latest shooting happened Friday near Monument Circle, and police say the shooter was a 16-year-old. The victim in that shooting was sent to the hospital in stable condition, but still, people who spend their time downtown say they don't feel safe. According to City County Councilor Lakeisha Jackson, as of last Thursday, there were more than 120 murders in the Indianapolis area. In September, 6 people, including 3 teens, were shot on Maryland Street, and in May, police suspected a 16-year-old of shooting 4 people, 3 of them teenagers themselves. Tasha Page has worked downtown for over a decade and says downtown is changing.
Because I feel like Indianapolis has always been a downtown safe environment, and now it's just getting a little bit out of control. It starts with the parents. You have to know a 16-year-old should not be out there. You got to know what your children are doing at night. It's no bad kids, it's bad parents.
Working for you, we reached out to city leaders to see what they plan to do to stop the violence in the Circle City. And a spokeswoman says they are working to create programs to get kids off the street, including a youth resource fair next month to connect kids to job training programs. Again, there have been more than 120 homicides in the downtown Indianapolis area just this year alone. Reporting live in Indianapolis, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Kelsey, thank you so much. The time now is 6:35, and later today, it's the hearing that could cost State Attorney General Curtis Hill his job. It's the disciplinary hearing over allegations that Hill groped a state lawmaker and 3 other women at a party last year. RTV6's Alyssa Donovan is live at the State House this morning. Alyssa, Hill's law license is at stake, which also means his job could be in jeopardy. So explain this to us.
That's exactly right, Raphael. So the result of this hearing could lead to the temporary suspension of Hill's law license, or a reprimand, or that complaint could be dismissed, or he could completely, permanently lose his law license, which according to state law is a requirement to serve as the Attorney General for our state. Now, a former state Supreme Court justice will open the hearing today, which could last all week. The hearing is over professional misconduct complaints against Hill. He denies the claims from a state lawmaker and 3 legislative staffers that he inappropriately touched them during a party at an Indianapolis bar. The Attorney General has refused calls from Governor Eric Holcomb and other state leaders to resign. Hill argues the case is improper because he was cleared by the special prosecutor, and any conduct at the party should not be subject to law license sanctions. We spoke with an expert on sexual harassment law from Indiana County University, who agrees with the disciplinary commission's argument that Hill should be held to a higher standard due to his position. The hearing begins this afternoon, and Hill is expected to testify at that hearing. As of now, there is no deadline on when a decision needs to be made. We do know that Hill is supposed to be up for re-election next year, but so far he has not made a decision on whether he is planning to run for another term. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Police are asking for the public's help in finding a man who is missing from southern Indiana. Take a good look at your screen and see if you recognize Brian Eugene Smith. He is 51 years old, and a silver alert was issued for him by state police last night. Smith was last seen almost a week ago in the town of Holton, down in Ripley County, about an hour and a half southeast of Indianapolis. He is 5'6" and around 230 pounds. If you think you have seen Smith, you should call 911 or call Indiana State Police at the number on your screen, 812-689-5000.
Let's head south of Indianapolis to Johnson County. There, a pilot managed to walk away without any injuries after a small ultralight aircraft made a rough landing in a cornfield. The Johnson County Sheriff's Office says the plane went down northeast of I-65 and Whiteland Road Sunday afternoon. The pilot told investigators he had mechanical difficulties and landed in that cornfield, which just happens to be his friend's property. The sheriff's deputies, they contacted the Federal Aviation Administration, but the FAA said it will not need to respond because this was an ultralight aircraft and no one was hurt.
A 71-year-old man is dead after two boats collided on a Delaware County reservoir. The crash happened on Prairie Creek Reservoir just after 10:30 Sunday morning. The Department of Natural Resources says because of the crash, Leonard Anderson was thrown from his boat, later found in the water. Officers say the motor of Anderson's boat kept running and the boat did not stop, going in circles on the reservoir. When crews found Anderson, they performed CPR, but he did not survive. Investigators say Anderson was not wearing a life jacket or an engine cutoff lanyard.
A Purdue University professor and his wife have pleaded guilty to using more than $1 million in federal research funds for their own personal expenses. A 61-year-old Kyung-Hoo Han serves as the director for Purdue's Center for Materials Processing Research. Federal prosecutors say that Han admitted to using $1.3 million from National Science Foundation funds. The money was funneled into his wife Lu Xiao's company, Hans Tech LLC. Both have pleaded guilty to a federal wire fraud charge. A Purdue spokesperson says they are aware of the plea and say will, quote, carefully consider the matter in light of its policies.
With rain in the forecast today, an Indianapolis homeowner says a neighborhood drainage issue is a flood disaster waiting to happen. Residents on Thrush Drive say that when it rains, a drainage ditch overflows and floods their backyards. They say the problem is caused by overgrowth in the ditch that hasn't been maintained by the city. Phil Stark's house sits right in front of the ditch. He says it has been cleared by the city twice in the 30 years he's lived in the home.
People aren't going to go down there. I'm not going to go in there and clean, especially when it's wet. Now, if it dries up, I don't even have anything that I don't have a weed eater to get in and do that, or a sickle. I mean, they've had people volunteer to go along the river and pick up garbage from White River. Why can't they have a group of volunteers come out and clean this out?
RTV6 checked with the Mayor's Action Center and learned that homeowners are responsible for clearing the ditch along their property lines. A city spokesperson says residents were given a letter last year reminding them about the responsibility. Stark says the overgrown shrubs and trees have become too big of a mess for he and his neighbors to deal with. He hopes the city will step in with proper equipment to clear a path. And speaking of paths, Todd, there is a path of storms headed right our way.
Yeah, definitely going to turn into a very wet and windy day here across central Indiana. Here's a live look at Storm Team 6 radar, and you can see just near Terre Haute, we're starting to get some returns. That's probably not reaching the ground, but you don't have to go too far west of Terre Haute to find this solid line of showers and storms, which is now starting to swing its way from southwest to northeast. So I would say from, say, Sullivan, Vincennes through Indianapolis, then northward, you're probably going to have the heaviest rainfall this morning. Further south you are, the storm's probably not going to be as strong, but look how massive this storm system is. Essentially goes from the Canadian border all the way down to the Mexico border in Texas there, and this is all sweeping off towards the east very, very quickly. So as we work our way throughout the day, the heaviest of the rain is going to be when it first starts in your neighborhood this morning. So we're talking about 10 a.m. through about 1, 2 o'clock. That's the heaviest of the rain. And then we taper things off to just some scattered showers throughout the evening hours. But this white line you see here, those are the sustained winds, 20, 25 miles per hour. Could see some gusts up to 40 miles per hour later on this afternoon. Going to be one of the more active days of weather we've had in quite some time here across central Indiana. More on it coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you so much. We've been waiting a long time for I-69 to be completed, but the project finally is starting to move forward. And just ahead, how INDOT wants to hear from you to help determine what the final stretch of the interstate will look like.
And empowering women through the clothes they wear. Coming up, how Dress for Success is helping women boost their careers. It's 6:42. We'll be back after this break.
Foil made in the USA since 1947.
The time now is 6:44, and later today you can have your say on the final phase of the I-69 project between Martinsville in Morgan County and Indianapolis here in Marion County. INDOT is holding meetings about design refinements and the construction schedule for I-69. The state wants to give feedback on the design of the interstate project. Now, today's meeting will be at Martinsville High School. Tomorrow, INDOT will hold another meeting at Center Grove High School, and then on Thursday, that meeting will be at Perry Meridian High School. All three meetings all start at 5:30 p.m.
The president's acting chief of staff tried to backpedal on his admission last week that there was a quid pro quo in the president's phone call with Ukraine, now at the center of the House's impeachment investigation. Last week, Mick Mulvaney admitted during a news conference that President Trump had withheld security money for Ukraine until the country agreed to investigate a discredited theory that someone in Ukraine was trying to work against the president during the 2016 election. On Sunday, Mulvaney tried to walk back what he said.
So I recognize that that I didn't speak clearly. Maybe on Thursday folks misinterpreted what I said. But I never said there was a quid pro quo, because there isn't.
This week, House impeachment investigators expect to hear from multiple administration officials, including William Taylor. He is a top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine who questioned withholding aid to the country.
Hiring Hoosiers is all about connecting you to jobs and exploring the barriers that may get in the way of all of those opportunities. Dress for Success is among those leading the way to make sure that women of all ages are empowered as they begin their job hunt or climb the ladder of success. The Indianapolis chapter held its 20th annual Stepping Out in Style fundraiser on Friday night at the JW Marriott in downtown Indianapolis. The goal, to raise more than $300,000 to help women become financially independent. Now, the key to success, no matter your job, is having confidence, which is among the many things Dress for Success teaches its members.
And it lifts them up, and it lifts the burden from those people to give them a chance to go out and start their lives in a different way and build their lives in a different way.
And that was local businessman Denny Sponsel, who helps raise money for the organization, which has helped 17,000 women in the past 2 decades. I was there that evening. RTV6 is a proud media sponsor of Dress for Success.
If you're still wondering how the Colts would fare without Andrew Luck, well, take a look at the standings in the AFC South this morning. Colts now in first place after pulling out a victory over the Houston Texans at Lucas Oil Stadium. The Colts defense made a stand at the end of the game with Darius Leonard intercepting Deshaun Watson. Jacoby Brissett had a career-high 325 passing yards and 4 touchdowns, including one on a spectacular catch by tight end Eric Ebron.
Not to sound arrogant, but I kind of knew I had it the whole way. It's kind of something that you practice but don't practice. It's something that, you know, if it happens, it happens, and you know that it's happened. You got your left arm. How do you make a play in this situation? You just got to make a play.
The Colts will try to keep their momentum going when they host the Denver Broncos at Lucas Oil Stadium next Sunday. And they had the roof open yesterday at Lucas Oil. It was a great day to get out and watch
See that
the
catch?
game.
That took skills.
That was pretty amazing.
You know how skills?
Well, if you're reaching high in the sky today,
Doc Clausen.
You're going to feel a lot of rain, right, Todd?
Yeah, we're going to get quite a bit of rainfall here this morning, and it's going to be one of those rains where you may want to carry the umbrella, but we're going to be dealing with very windy conditions as well. So the umbrella probably not your best choice today. If you have a rain jacket with a hood, that's probably going to be your best option. So the rain's going to move in here throughout the morning hours, and it's going to be heavy initially with those gusty winds, and it will move from west to east across the state. So the further east you are, it takes a little longer for the rain to arrive. And then this afternoon, we'll kind of taper things off to just some scattered showers, but the wind is going to be with us throughout the afternoon as well. So the heaviest of the rain is the initial burst of rain and then kind of scattered showers in the afternoon. Here's a live look at Storm Team 6 radar, and starting to get some returns now near Terre Haute as well as Sullivan. We'll expand out for you, and you can notice these showers quickly starting to make their way in, and it's part of this big line of storms that stretches really all the way from Minnesota down into Texas. Some isolated storms here sneaking just into the Newburgh, the Evansville area, and this is going to race across the state from west to east pretty quickly. So this line right here has quite a bit of lightning, as you can see. Nothing severe right now, but we are under the marginal risk for severe weather, so we can't completely rule out the chance of an isolated warning here throughout the course of the morning hours. And here we are at 9:30, heavy rain from Lafayette down through Crawfordsville into the Bloomington area. It slides off towards the north and northeast and moves through the metro area. Probably by 10:30, 11:30, by the noon hour, it's starting to make its way into Muncie. And then by 1, 2 o'clock, at least that heavy rain and the widespread rain is going to be coming to an end. From that point forward, throughout the remainder of the day, we're dealing with these scattered showers off and on. So we never completely get rid of the rain until probably about 11, 12 o'clock at night. And then this broken line of showers, that's the actual front going through, and that's during the evening hours. So there could be another burst of rainfall as that front goes through this evening. So the bottom line is it's windy for everybody. We deal with the heaviest of the rainfall from late morning into the early afternoon hours. But look at these wind gusts. We're up near 40 miles per hour with the initial burst of rain. And then even this evening, we're still dealing with some wind gusts that'll be up in the 20 to 35 mile per hour range. As far as temperatures today, they're really not an issue. We'll be mild with highs in the 60s and 70s. New air mass, though, for tomorrow on the backside of this front. Highs only in the 50s with partly sunny skies, but we do get back into the 60s for Wednesday and Thursday.
Todd, thank you. This is a live look at I-70 just east of Mount Comfort Road right now. That is the incorrect camera, as you can see. This is US 31 at Rangeline Road. We're obviously having some technical difficulties. Here we go. Here is the correct one. You can see all the traffic on eastbound 70 is in the left lane. That is because construction crews had the right lane closed just before the exit to Mount Comfort Road. So if you're coming into town from areas east of Indianapolis, you will run into some delays this morning. Give yourself a few extra minutes there. A frustrating car problem that supposedly had been resolved a few years ago has made a comeback this year, possibly because this summer was so hot.
Consumer reporter John Mattery shows us why some cars appear to be prone to melting dashboards, so you don't waste your money.
It was a hot summer in much of the U.S. with record-breaking temperatures from Florida all the way up to northern states. And that heat took a toll on many things, including some car dashboards. Some things are supposed to melt, like ice cream cones, snow, and wicked witches, not dashboards.
It's very sticky to the touch.
But Carol West has a melting dashboard in her Toyota Sienna minivan.
You can feel it. It's on your finger.
That's sticky.
That is sticky.
Plus, she says the glare it makes on the windshield is horrible.
At night, it's worse because the lights hit that glare, and virtually I cannot see to drive.
It's a common problem in Toyotas and Lexuses from 2003 to 2011 and was the subject of a 2015 recall. But now her dealer, Carol says, wants almost $3,000.
$2,700.
To put in a new dash.
Put in the dash.
The worst part is that her Sienna missed the recall cutoff by just 1 year. A year or two ago, getting that dashboard fixed would have been free. Toyota offered no questions asked dashboard replacement until 2017. Now it warrants them for 10 years from the first sale date. That means cars older than 2009 no longer qualify. We contacted Toyota to see if they could make an exception for Carol.
But I don't think value-wise, $2,700 is something we shouldn't have to pay.
She may have to try a homemade solution, such as a rug over her dash. My advice if your dashboard starts feeling sticky, don't wait. Check with your dealer or Toyota customer service to see if there's still some warranty coverage so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matteries. Good morning, Indiana.
John Matteries, always with great information on Good Morning Indiana. For more money-saving tips and ideas, visit the money section of our website, theindychannel.com.
Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan getting candid in a new documentary. Coming up in just minutes on Good Morning America, they talk more about their struggles in the spotlight and Harry's relationship with Prince William.
That's just 7 minutes away, and an obscure Twitter account turns out to be a very famous author. Next, a Twitter mystery with a somewhat strange name has been solved. You're watching Good Morning Indiana on RTV6. Visit the Hiring Hoosiers job board.
In today's world of social media, you sometimes never know who is who. And as we all know, a lot of people have multiple accounts on multiple social media networks.
And now we know that one of the most powerful men in the world has what's known as a burner account on Twitter to defend himself from attacks. Republican Senator Mitt Romney was profiled this weekend in The Atlantic magazine, given that he has become a recent critic of the president. Now, in that profile, Romney admitted that he had a secret account on Twitter that he sometimes uses to engage with people and to offer defenses of his actions, well, of himself. The author of the article, McKay Coppins, finally was able to track down the Twitter account. It's this one. It's called Pierre Delecto. That's Mitt Romney, Pierre Delecto. No one seems to know what the name means, but when Coppins asked Romney if that account belonged to him, the senator simply replied in an email using some French, "C'est moi," which means what? "C'est moi" means... It's me?
It me.
Soy
yes.
yo in Spanish. All right. Good luck with that. I have a hard time keeping track of my own account, so it is what it is.
Yep.
Storm Team 6 alert day.
Yeah, some heavy rain will move in, as well as some gusty winds by about 10 and 11 o'clock across the area from west to east. Heaviest rain through the noon hour, then scattered showers, but windy this afternoon.
Todd, thank you. We are back in 25 minutes and throughout Good Morning America with all your news, weather, and traffic updates.
Have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow morning.